Hi, I'm Adrian and I'm making this video to ask if you can take the time to raise the profile of the North Staff Special Adventure Playground and its campaign to stay open. Ask questions, demand answers, speak to your friends, family, speak to local media, generally make a fuss so that the profile of this really sad situation is raised and it's on people's sort of radar. In 1992, I volunteered at an Easter play scheme for children and young people with physical and learning disabilities, and the Easter play scheme took place here at the North Staff Special Adventure Playground, and it changed the direction of my life completely. It looks a lot different than that now. The playground had only been open a couple of years when I first got there, and I began to work there after I'd done volunteering for a while as a sessional play leader, and then in 1998 I went back and ran respite services on Saturday mornings and Sunday afternoons. Due to funding at the time, my job wasn't going to carry on, so I ended up leaving and getting a different job, starting a new chapter in my life. But I carried on volunteering on the Friday evening with the Friday Night Youth Club, and then I became a volunteer representative on the committee. It's as a result of the children and the young people that I met at the Adventure Playground and the parents and carers I was introduced to that I began a path that's led me to campaign for the rights and empowerment of some of the most vulnerable people who live in our communities. There's rarely a month goes by where I don't mention the playground in my work, supporting people to speak up. And I am forever thankful to the people who shared their stories with me and who taught me so much and raised my awareness of the barriers faced by people with disabilities. For example, like the boy who explained to me that having cerebral palsy was like having the controls of a remote control car, and that when you press the lever to go forward, sometimes you went backwards, sometimes you went sideways, sometimes you didn't move at all. Or the girl who pointed out that there were no fashionable clothes and they were never designed for people with disabilities, especially people in wheelchairs, and that she wanted to change all that. So the charity's recently announced that it's in trouble, and a statement from the Chief Executive Officer and the committee says that the playground will close its doors before the end of the year. I don't think that that's the only option. There are other ways to move forward. It might sadly involve a smaller staff team in the short term, providing services that don't need as many staff members. When I first started at the playground, I was a volunteer, and the provision it provided at the time relied heavily on volunteers for those services to take place. And I'm more than happy to volunteer time in the short term to try and keep the playground open, even if it's at a very reduced capacity until other plans can be implemented. We can't let the playground close until we've exhausted every other option. The playground was built from the sheer determination and the love of a group of parents who wanted safe and accessible play provision for their disabled children. And the building literally rose from the marshland in Newcastle, and it opened its doors to generations of families. This proposed closure is an enormous blow to everyone, especially the children and the young people who use the NSSAP and who are already battling many barriers to overcome social exclusion. A loss of a service like this is exactly the same as a bereavement, and losing the friendships and support networks is devastating. This playground has such an overwhelming impact, not just on my life, but on the lives of hundreds of others. And once you experience being there and meet the amazing children and young people, the parents and carers, your life is forever changed. And I've watched children that I worked with grow up to become some of the most inspirational adults ever, and they've made some brilliant videos to save the playground. Also, on a personal level, some of the closest friendships that I've got now would never have existed without my time at the Adventure Playground. So I think it's safe to say that you might leave the North Staff Special Adventure Playground, but it never ever leaves you, and we just need to make sure that others have the opportunity to experience this for themselves. So follow the campaign, sign the petition, use the hashtag save NSSAP, and do everything that you can to make sure that the doors don't close. Thank you.